Hey, and welcome to Glue Friday. If you're watching the broadcast, you've got about 6 minutes to go before I get started. I came on early because I changed my starting time today to 2 o'clock. So I came on a little earlier. That gives people time to switch from a normal broadcast being one, even though I sent the announcement, they said, oh my God, that's right, it's at two. So that's why I came on a lot earlier than I normally do. So we've got less than 6 minutes to go before we'll start the message, but I just wanted to let you know that's what I'm doing. If it's your first time, Glue Friday was actually born from Glue Wednesday, which was my originally. I did Glue Wednesday as a way to deal with the way how people talk about Wednesday being Hump Day, as in the middle of a 5-day work week. See, back in the old days, we didn't really, the weekend was a separate thing. Work was considered Monday to Friday. And it's so funny when you think about it, how we never thought about the people who had to work on the weekends. All right. So who we got there? Hey, what's up, Deb Joy? Let me get your name in there. All right. But yeah, I'm on extra early because I started the broadcast later than normal. So I've got 5 more minutes before our actual message. And spoiler alert, you know what? Today is my anniversary. 10 years in the CLT, 10 years in Charlotte. So that's also why I didn't want to cancel my broadcast. I just moved it back because I had a couple of days in advance. Meetings up in front. Hey, what's up, Vet? It's so true. And this is on a delay. So I guess you're talking about true about how, we didn't even think about the weekends. The weekend was one thing and the weekday was a whole nother thing. But that's why I created Glue Wednesday, because people used to say, well, Wednesday is hump day. And so I said, one of the things I always talk to people about is controlling your vocabulary rather than allowing your vocabulary to control you. And what that's saying in essence is, what I'm hoping it's saying is get a positive vocabulary, because you could control your vocabulary by still choosing to be negative. So I'm saying get a positive vocabulary, and by controlling it, the things that come out of your mouth, think about what you're going to say before you just blurt something out. Think about what you say, and even also hear words differently than you're used to. See, a lot of controlling your vocabulary also means that you don't just stick yourself with one thing. This is what that word means. This is what, no. I was just driving the other day and I saw a sign that said winding road. And you know what? If you're new to English, that could just as easily be saying winding road, because wind and wind are spelled the exact same way, W-I-N-D. So life is about the context. And that's the thing about your vocabulary. It has to be in context. So control your vocabulary. Think about what you have to say. Know where to punctuate what. Okay, and so again, Bet got you there. You're driving through. Oh, you're just driving through. Okay, good. Thank you. Happy. I appreciate that. All right, and we've got less than 3 minutes to go for the message. But so what I decided to do, the reason I created Glue Wednesday, because Wednesday I see as the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of whether or not you're looking at it as work or weekend. But it's the middle of a 7-day week. It keeps the weekend and the week beginning together. So Wednesday is the glue. And you see, it puts us in a prayerful mode right away. And that's why I said GLUE is God's love undoes everything. I like to make fun of signs. Okay, there's a whining sign, right? and that could be spelled W-I-N-I-N-G for whining. For when because what's your favorite wine? Remember, we used to be able to make that joke, or we can't anymore. We say, what's the Jewish woman's favorite wine? Irving, I want to move to Miami. That was a New York joke that we used to always say. Okay, so we've got less than 2 minutes to the message. But so Glue, G-L-U-E, God's love undoes everything. Not that it takes things apart, but whatever you're going through, his love will take care of it. And that becomes the key. Love the acronyms. Yeah, I've got some acronyms for us today, Vet. And I don't know how your driving is doing, how much longer you're going to be with us here. But, I got some acronyms for you today. Okay. And true, I guess, I don't even know. Yes, you know, and the reason you see me looking back and forth, I got two monitors going because the one I'm broadcasting into is on a time delay. So what I did is put my other monitor, but my other computer up, so where it's getting the live feed. So you know, so I don't do a very good job of it because you know then you'll lose track of where you are. You know, but every now and then I try to look over and see what you may be responding to, and then maybe I can say something about it even in delayed reaction. But that's the key. Okay. So Vet gave me a thumbs up on something. That's cool. We got less than a minute, and then we're going to go right into the message. And then Vet, you think you like the acronyms? I got some more for you. All right. Cool in the gang. So let me set that up. All right. So that's what Glue Wednesday was about. And then during the pandemic, what I decided to do was bring back to expand that message because it was helping so many people. And so I decided to add Monday and Friday. So I now have Glue Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because God's love doesn't need to be restricted to the middle of the week either. And again, oh, by the way, the other reason I called it glue is because I say, you know what, we don't need hump. We don't need to get over. We need glue. We need to keep it together. And that's one thing. Then we've been doing that before the pandemic, y'all. This is what life is about, is us finding ways to keep it together. So it's 2:00 now. Let's talk about that. My message today is happy anniversary, CYA. Happy anniversary, CYA. And CYA is for what? Choose your attitude. Yeah, you guessed that. I'm sure you did. CYA is for choose your attitude. Oh man, I just blew that. I just thought I should have told people to put in the chat what you think CYA stands for. I tell you what, though, we can play a game because I'm going to tell you something that I've got 3 different meanings for CYA. So put something in the chat of what you think CYA could be standing for in my messages today. That's something that'll be good. Yeah. So 3 different meanings for CYA. You got one. Choose your attitude. But let's see what you come up with before I move on. Let's see. We could be a winding road. I love it. CYA. Okay. You know, and then you know what? I better cover your ass. There you go. Yeah. And which has a double meaning, by the way, because cover your ass it could be a nursing term, right, in the hospital in terms of the gowns, but it's also what we've always said to people when they mess up or they CYA, they not mess up, but when they make sure that they don't get caught up in the scandal. See, so if something's going to be happening, you better cover your ass, right? Make sure that you've got a good alibi. All right. Let's see what else we got. Yeah. Charlotte, 8 years for me. All right, Rhonda. Okay. 8 years for Rhonda. Yep. And I'm on 10. Yep. So here we go. So CYA, choose your attitude. So here's my first one. The first one I want to give you is CYA, choose your arrival. Choose your arrival. Now, Rhonda, you said you've been here 8 years. I tell you, I've been here 10. But let me say something. I've been here 35. See, 35 years ago, I chose Charlotte. It was in 1985 that I was a sales rep for Wall Street Journal, and my sales territory, I was out of Washington, out of Maryland, and my sales territory, North Carolina, was part of my territory. And I stood on a corner in Charlotte, and I said, wow, I like it here. I think I'll move here one day. And that's when I decided to move to Charlotte, and that's when I started moving to North Carolina. And so 25 years after that conversation, I physically made the move. And what I did when I look back, at that time, I was 28 years old. I was 28 years old. And then, but it was when I was 38 years old that I recognized, which is also when I became an entrepreneur, I recognized that conversation I had at 28 was my first conscious conversation with God, because I had started focusing on my spiritual growth. And so that's what I recognize it to be. And so so therefore, when I finally moved, in other people's terms, in 2010, someone said, 25 years, man, you took all that time to move? I said, no, I used all of that time. And that's why I say choose your arrival as my first CYA, because I chose to move here. That's the other thing. See, when I was at the Journal, I had an 18-year career at the Wall Street Journal. And I got relocated twice from New York to Washington, D.C., or to Silver Spring, Maryland, from 84 to 88. And then from Maryland, and that was a promotion to being a sales rep. And then I got promoted to being a sales manager and got relocated to Chicago from 88. And then I stayed at the Journal to 93 is when I retired from the Journal. But here's the deal that you have to see there. Those two relocations were career moves. See, those weren't places that I wanted to move. And I'm a big person. I'm a control freak. I think that you should have some control over whatever you can control in your life. And so I decided, you know what? I moved to places that they wanted me to move. My company, I could have turned them down, by the way. So they were still my choices, but they were choices of, hey, would you like a promotion and, in your career? And this is what those moves were for. Charlotte was a move for me. I moved here with no place to live, no job, no friends. I chose Charlotte to come and build my life. So that's why I say choose your arrival. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Where are you in your life right now? Because of where I am in my life right now, I also get to be where I am in my life right now, and that is in my spiritual awakening and believing that I'm just where God wants me to be. And, a lot of times, and that's why I'm wearing my faith shirt. I mean that you got to really think about your faith. We'll go to church or we'll quote the Bible and say, or whatever religion, the Quran, the chants, we'll quote our spiritual hierarchy and say, yeah, I'm where I want to be. I'm where the Lord wants me to be. And then we complain about where we are in our life. I don't. Wherever I am in my life, I'm satisfied with that. And that's a hard place. It's an easy place to get, by the way. It's a hard place to stay, because what you have to do is you got a lot of noise in your life. You got a lot of people telling you, look, you should be doing this. When you hear people talk about their careers and their self-esteem, they say, well, at this age, I think I should have been here by now, doing this by now. Why? They're basing that on measuring themselves against someone else. Yeah, sure, it's your goal, but your goal is based on, well, you know what? I think by 35, I saw that this person made it by 30 and this person made it by 40, so I can do it by 35. See, we're basing those goals on somebody else's statistics. I base my goals on my statistics. Not to say that I've always been that way, but I've grown to learn that. So for choosing your arrival, I've chosen something that I'm going to read to you that talks about that, and it's called Patience in Prayer, because that's what I'm saying. 25 years, someone said, oh, it took you 25 years to move. I said, no, I used 25 years. I used 25 years, and now I've used another 10. Patience is not just a virtue, it's a very good thing, and it's something I believe I have. So patience in prayer. When the idea is not right, God says no. No, when the idea is not the best. No, when the idea is absolutely wrong. No, though it may help you, it might create problems for someone else. When the time is not right, God says slow. What a catastrophe it would be if God answered every prayer when we wanted. Do you know what would happen? God would become your servant, not your master. Suddenly, God would be working for you instead of you working for God. When you are not right, God says, grow. The selfish person must grow in unselfishness. The cautious person must grow in courage. The timid person must grow in confidence. The dominating person must grow in sensitivity. The critical person must grow in tolerance. The negative person must grow in positive attitudes. And the pleasure-seeking person must grow out of the frivolous. When everything is all right, God says, go. Then miracles happen. A hopeless alcoholic is set free. A drug addict finds release. A doubter becomes a child in his belief. Diseased tissues respond to treatment and healing begins. The door to your dream suddenly swings open, and there stands God saying, go. Remember, God's delays are not God's denials. God's timing is perfect. Patience is what we need in prayer. Have the best day of your life today, because this is the best day of your life. So have that patience. Have that patience in yourself. And the part of it is having that patience in God, but it's the patience in prayer that know that when you pray, your prayers will be answered. Now, how they will manifest is something that you actually have no control over. So what you may pray for, I want to pray for this person's health, and then that person continues to be ill or they die. You may feel like your prayer wasn't answered, but you know what? Maybe your prayer was answered, and that well, we hear people say it all the time, they're not suffering anymore. See, we'll switch to that when they don't live. So, well, they're not suffering anymore. Do you realize that's actually a good way to look at it? That actually could be your prayer was answered. Would you rather the person suffer for 10 years or for 10 days? It's a hard thing to do. That's why I say some places are easy to get, hard to stay. But choose your arrival and have patience in your prayer, knowing that your prayers will be answered. But you can never expect your prayer to be, God, I want this, and I want it at 3 o'clock, and I want it to meet me on the corner, and I want. That's not how it works. So make sure that you continue to pray in patience, and that's how I get to choose my arrival. My second, let me see what y'all got for CYA in the feed. Let me see if we got any new applicants. Okay, I choose my arrival. Oh, I like that. I choose my arrival at choosing my attitude. There you go. Janice, unfortunately, you keep freezing. Oh, to let you know that I agree with you. Well, thank you, Janet. I hope that I'm only freezing with your feed, and you're in Chicago, so it's probably cold there. But I hope that, because I'm yesterday when I did my Zoom meeting, I had to use Wi-Fi because the Ethernet wasn't working, and that's the danger of freezing. So hopefully that's not happening. And then Zet said we're all individuals, and that's also a good choice. When you choose your arrival, you want to make sure that you choose to be who you are. Great, and show up who you are. So my next CYA is choose your addiction. What? Yeah, choose your addiction. And before I speak on that, I'm going to actually read you a poem called Addictions. And this is a poem that was written by one of my seasoned citizens. And she's not online. I'm going to give her a shout out. She may never see this. She may never, it depends, because she doesn't have email, but her name is Mabel Witten. And she's in Chicago. And she writes me almost every month, and I write her, and just a wonderful woman. And she writes poetry, and she dedicated this poem to me. And so she wrote this to me. Addiction. I am your master. I can make you rise or fall. I can work for or against you. I can make you a success or a failure. I control the way you feel and the way you act. I can make you laugh, work, and love. I can make your heart sing with joy, excitement, and elation. Or I can make you wretched, dejected, or morbid. I can make you sick and listless. I can be a shackle, heavy and burdensome. Or I can be a prism's hue, dancing, bright and colorful. I can be nurtured and grown to be great and beautiful, seen by the eyes of others through action in you. I can never be removed, only replaced. I am your attitude. That's why there's the question mark in the title. Addictions? No, that's your attitude. Your attitude can be your master. It can make you rise or fall. It can work for or against you. It can make you be a success or a failure. Choose the way you feel, the way you act, it can make you laugh, work, and love. It can make your heart sing with joy, excitement, and elation. Or if you choose a bad attitude, it can make you wretched, dejected, or morbid. A nasty attitude, it can make you sick and listless. Because when you have a bad attitude, you're more susceptible to illness. It can be a shackle, heavy and burdensome, right? Because when you have an attitude, you're carrying that nasty weight with you, and you know what? It makes you more cautious. But not cautious in a way of being careful, but in a way of being untrusting of other people. And so you're constantly looking around because you're carrying that negative weight. And maybe because somebody who you did something to might be looking for you. So it has to be. Or it can be a prism's hue. And if you miss that, a prism is the thing, where it reflects the different colors, dancing, bright and colorful. It can be nurtured and grown to be great and beautiful. Your attitude can be seen through the eyes of others through your actions. They see that your attitude through your actions, and it can never be removed. It can only be replaced. That's beautiful. I'm your attitude. Your attitude cannot be removed. It can be replaced. And who can it be replaced by? By you. You can choose your addiction, but you can choose your attitude, and recognize that you have to choose to be addicted to having a good attitude, because no one can change it. No one can change who you are but you. People can ask you to change. People can ask you for concessions. People can make suggestions that you might want to use, but only you can make that choice. And I say, I choose to have a wonderful attitude. That's what my anniversary is all about. It's about the choices that I've made in my life. And I choose to have a good attitude. So CYA, choose your addiction. No, let's go. We've got choose your attitude, choose your arrival, choose your addiction. And now I want to give one more with choosing your attitude. And this one comes with a story that I found on the internet called What Goes Around Comes Around. Choose your attitude. He almost didn't see the old lady stranded on the side of the road, but even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled up in front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with a smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help for the last hour or so. Was he going to hurt her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. He could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was that chill which only fear can put in you. He said, "I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? By the way, my name is Brian Anderson." Well, all she had was a flat tire, but for an old lady, that was bad enough. Brian crawled under the car, looking for a place to put the jack, skinning his knuckles a time or two. Soon he was able to change the tire, but he had to get dirty and his hands hurt. As he was tightening up the lug knots, she rolled down the window and began to talk to him. She told him that she was from St. Louis and was only just passing through. She couldn't thank him enough for coming to her aid. Brian just smiled as he closed her trunk. The lady asked how much she owed him. Any amount would have been all right with her. She already imagined all the awful things that could have happened had he not stopped. Brian never thought twice about being paid. This was not a job to him. This was helping someone in need. And God knows there were plenty who had given him a hand in the past. He had lived his whole life that way, and it never occurred to him to act any other way. He told her that if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she could give that person the assistance they needed. And Brian added, "And think of me." He waited until she started her car and drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed for home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat, and while the chill and take the chill off before she made her last leg of her trip home. It was a dingy-looking restaurant. Outside were two old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The waitress came over and brought a clean towel to wipe her wet hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet for the whole day couldn't erase. The lady noticed the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she never let the strain and aches change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone who had so little could be so giving to a stranger. Then she remembered Brian. After the lady finished her meal, she paid with $100 bill. The waitress quickly went to get change for a $100 bill, but the old lady had slipped right out the door. She was gone by the time the waitress came back. The waitress wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on the napkin. There were tears in her eyes when she read what the lady wrote. The lady had written, "You don't owe me anything. I have been there too. Somebody once helped me out the way I'm helping you. If you really want to pay me back, here is what you do. Do not let this chain of love end with you." And then under the napkin, there were 4 more $100 bills. Well, there were tables to clear, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve. But the waitress made it through another day. That night, when she got home from work and climbed into bed, she was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could the lady have known how much she and her husband needed it? With the baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She knew how worried her husband was, and as she lay sleeping next to him, she gave him a soft kiss and whispered soft and low, "Everything's going to be all right. I love you, Brian Anderson." Did you stay with me on that? What comes around goes around. Brian Anderson helped the old woman. The old woman paid it forward by helping someone else who ended up being Brian's wife. Choose your attitude. And if we link those back to choosing your addiction and choosing your arrival, when that person arrives in your life, when you arrive in someone's life, what are you bringing them? What are you bringing them? What have you chosen to bring into someone else's life? And then what addictions are you bringing in? Are you bringing them addiction of positivity, or are you addicted to the negative? Because it's going to make a difference. And it's going to make a difference in how someone else chooses their attitude. Because even when we look back at that story, that when the woman chose to be helpful to the pregnant woman, the waitress, that waitress was doing what she could. And she got her life brightened and blessed by what the older woman did. And does it take you back to what I said about how your prayers are going to get answered? Who knows what that woman had prayed? But guess what? Apparently and obviously, as she said, her husband had been worried. Brian was so worried about what they were going through, but he still stopped to help the woman on the road, and he didn't take any money for it because that was what he was all about. That was the attitude that he had chosen. So what I'm going to close with is from my Bible, the scripture, Joshua 24:15. And I'm going to read that to you. And here you can hear it talk about attitude. Joshua 24:15. "But if you are unwilling to serve the Lord, then choose today whom you will serve. Would you prefer the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates? Or will it be the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now live? But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Choose your attitude. And that's when you look at what we're talking about here on glue. God's love undoes everything. I choose to serve God. And I choose to have an attitude of gratitude, as we hear as the common cliche. I choose to make sure that I'm patient. I choose to make sure that I'm arriving and showing up as who I am, because I'm always wanting to be sporty. The one thing I always will choose is to be me. And that's one of the things one of my messages I usually say to you, and that is risk, RISK. Recognition is success is key. When you choose to be who you are, you take a chance, because there's somebody who doesn't want you to be who you are. Now, you may not have remember me saying risk before, because you've heard me more say it in terms of saying focus, putting yourself first. But risk is a part of your focus. And so when you focus, FOCUS, finding ourselves creates unlimited success. Focus on you and let other people come into focus. You take a risk. Recognition is success is key. Take the time to be yourself. Right now, what we want you to focus on, the risk we want you to take, is to wear your mask. You're not wearing your mask for you. You are wearing it for the people you love. You know, we always say, well, I got to put so-and-so first. Well, you know what? Let's put them first. If that's what it takes for you to think about, let's do that. And let's put the mask on. Let's do what we need to do to get past this health crisis, or to get further along in it, because we may never pass it in our lifetime. But think about every single disease that has been known to mankind. What have we had to do? We've had to learn to live with it. I don't think anything has been necessarily cured. We've learned to live with it, and we've learned what to have to abate it and to make someone live with it a little longer. Now, when people, they get morphine for quality of life when there's a terminal illness. And quality of life, if you're not familiar with the dying process, if you haven't had that in your life, quality of life means that someone is terminally ill, and rather than kill them, let's keep them out of pain. And maybe there's been the addiction, because you can get addicted to morphine, but liquid morphine is what they'll give people as a way to help them deal with the pain, or to not have the pain in their dying days. So on my anniversary, that's the message that I wanted to share. CYA, choose your arrival. Be patient with yourself. It's going to be okay. Be patient with yourself. Choose your addiction. Recognize that you are somebody else's messenger. Choose your messengers carefully, and recognize that you're being carefully chosen as a messenger, so that when you again arrive, you will deliver the message that God has sent you to give. And that's why you choose your attitude. As in my house, me and my family, we will serve the Lord. That's the choice that I get to make every day, is to choose God as my Lord and Savior. If you'd like a copy of either the poem or either of the inspirational sayings, you can just send me an email, and I've got my new email address, sporty@sportyking.com, and I'll send you a nice PDF copy of that so that you can have it, and have it as something that you can use to bless somebody with, especially the one that says, what goes around comes around, because that's just a wonderful story of how you can pay it forward by being thankful. And always, you can go to my, I was going to say, you can go to my website, sportyking.com. You'll find my books. But next thing I want you to do is have a glue weekend. Not a good weekend, but have a glue weekend. GLUE. God's love undoes everything. And recognize that you actually, I just thought of this, you're always celebrating an anniversary. Today is a year ago from something. Tomorrow will be a year ago from something. Always find. I just finished teaching my great nieces how to count their birthday and celebrate it every month. So we had, and it was a great learning lesson for them, because I said, okay, when's your birthday? And Layla said it's January 27th. I said, so on February, how old will you be? February 27th, how old will you be? She said, so she had to say 8 and 1 month. And then when I say, how old will you be in June? She had to learn to count 8 and 5 months. And then Damani, her birthday is October 12th. So I said, okay, how old will you be on December 12th? She had to learn because she's 7 now. She'll be 8 in October. So she had to say 8 and 2 months. I said, how old will you be next May? And so they got good at counting their months and the years. But more importantly, they're excited about celebrating themselves at least once a month. And that's what you can do. That's the creativity. There's the CYA creativity, your awareness. Creativity is your awareness, your recognition that the things around you are there for you to make something of them. So make something of this day. Find a way to celebrate this day like you've celebrated no other. What is this your anniversary for? What are you celebrating each day of every month? That's the beauty of it all, okay? So thank you for enjoying the message. I'm going to go down and just click on some great comments that you've got. Consciousness about your choice is important. Let's look at some. These are my wise words that are coming from you, my readers and followers on Facebook Live. And I'll spend the time and go down and let's showcase every single one of them, because that, to me, that's you saying happy anniversary, and I appreciate it. So consciousness is a great choice that you have to make. And, we hear people say you got to be woke. Yeah, but consciousness, be conscious of your power. Don't decide that people aren't paying attention to you. Be conscious of one of the prayers I have on my wall is from Acts 16 and 25. It says, around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. There's always someone listening to whatever you say. So they recognize whether you're praying or whether you're complaining. And there's your Deb. There goes your wine. All right. Thank you. Hey, Fur, you are still a resident of Harlem. Absolutely. And not just Harlem, but Grant Projects. That's why we say G4L, Grant for Life. I'm in the CLT, but I'm a resident of Harlem, and I'm a Grant Projects person for life. We had a lot of good relationships and friendships. Had I not grown up in Grant Projects, I would not be able to have made the decision to choose where I wanted to move to and choose who I wanted to be in my life. That's one of the joys and blessings that I had from growing up. So thank you. God bumps. I like Deb. See, that's my creative partner there. God bumps, not goosebumps. God bumps on that story. And I know that had to be about the lady with the tie up getting changed and the wife and Brian Anderson. Thank you. All right, Marie. Oh my goodness. And probably, that story, did that story get y'all or what? Oh man. Yeah, let's just spend this little extra time right now, y'all. And let's just be calm and be mellow in the moment. Yeah. Oh, just calm and be mellow. Where you get, Marie? Yeah, the smile and the prayers and the angels that come in and out of your life. It's so wonderful. George, you move me with you. Thank you, George. Yeah, you know it. That message got me. That is, and again, and you know who the author is on that message, by the way, my favorite author, Unknown. There's so many good things that Unknown have written. Go through the internet and find them. If you're not personally getting my newsletter, my fun letter every month, you can let me know, and I'll send you the announcement by email every month when the new one comes up. But I also post right here on Facebook that the new one is loaded, so you can easily click and check it out there. But send me a request at sportyking.com, and I'll be sure to put you on that list. You're welcome. Thank you, Deb Joy Hart. You're welcome. Thank you, Marie. You're welcome. Awesome. I just learned something today in the meeting that I was in earlier. There's a woman, and I don't know if no, Awesome isn't in her company name, but she was talking about Awesome, and she said that look at the first 3 letters in Awesome, and they stand for attitude. What is she? The E was for energy. Oh, the E was for energy. The A was for attitude. The E was for energy. The W was for water. So the A was for air, water, and energy. She said that's what being awesome is about. Is making sure that you, and then she broke it up because she's into wellness. So she was, equating it to wellness. And then the S, I think, was for sleep. The O, I don't remember what it was for, but I'm going to make it for omnipotence. And then the M, I think, is for me. Because, you have to be, God has given you this life to take care of. Take care of me. All right? Take care of me. And that's what you want to say to yourself every now and then. And in the E, She didn't have the E, but I told her that the E was for eating based on what her message was. But I think it's also for empathy. And yeah, and good laugh from you, Maria. I'll have to figure out what that one was for. Fabulous. Thank you, Deb Norwood. Oh, and look at, if you see Deb's icon there, that's the folded flag that our service members get. Not they get it when they'll fold them and give it to the family after the funeral, but they also will fold and give those flags to someone for good service. And the reason I say that is because I got one. I was a speaker in Dallas years ago with the Yellow Ribbon Program. I was the keynote speaker, and they presented me with the flag as a thank you for my message. So that's a cherished thing. I got and Michael's, give them a shout out. The framers, they make the frame that you can put the flag in, and they got different sizes. Zet, happy you decided to move because I have family here now. Yeah, Zet moved down to North Carolina, but to South Carolina. She thought she was moving to North Carolina. And it was so cool when she first moved here, because she was actually 20 minutes away from me on the same street that I was on that had a different name in Charlotte than it had in South Carolina where she lives. And yeah, Maria, I don't know if love it is what you're referring to. Maybe that's the Zet's message. But again, thank you. And you could just be still bubbling over from that little story, because it was a great story. Thank you so much. Yes, it was nice. Thank you. And Deb Norwood, we just had a great conversation with myself, her, and her wonderful daughter, just, talking about diversity and inclusion, and how, things that are going on in our daily lives. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about that message too, by the way, is that especially with that last story, that's something that's going on right now. Even though the story was because that thing, I got that thing. When did I get it? Somebody sent me that message quite some time ago. I don't even remember when they sent it, but it's an old message, but it still applies today. That how can you be of help, and how can you serve someone else, and how can you pay it forward? What goes around comes around. We usually hear it in the negative. We say, yeah, what goes around comes around. Well, let's be happy that we got to hear it in the positive. And here's a last one from my good friend Katie. I'm not able to watch live, but just had to say that I celebrate this day with you because it crossed our paths. Love you, my friend, and so grateful for you. Yep. So yeah, Katie, you got on the broadcast, but actually I hadn't hung up. So you actually got on the live feed as well. Katie has a wonderful voice. She's been singing on Instagram every weekend during, not during the pandemic, but in the pandemic, she started doing that. She hasn't been doing it every single Saturday since it started, but during the pandemic, that was one of the things that she gifted us with, is her wonderful voice on the weekends. And she works with Marines especially, but all service members. And that's how I met her as well. So I think go back to what you said, Deb Norwood, about the flag. That was just a great honor. And so I got a lot of things to be thankful for, y'all. So I'm, you hear everybody saying, living my best life. I'm living my best life. And I want you to know that you're living your best life too. Whatever you're going through, wherever you are in your life, this is your best life. You don't have another one. And my joke is that even if you believe in resurrection, you're not coming back as you. So let's end that with a smile and a laugh, and recognize that this is another day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. But let us remember that without you, none of this would be possible. We need your spirit. We need you to feel good about yourself. We need you to have the right attitude, faith, feeling as if there's hope, recognizing that the only thing you cannot do is give up. And Maria, I'll close because you gave us a smile and some hands of prayer. Good way to end it all. Have a glue weekend, y'all, and I'll see you on Monday. Ciao.